Our next guest was 7 years old when we first met. His dad was the ward mission leader when I was a missionary in Copperas Cove, Texas, which was in the Texas San Antonio mission. He grew up a BYU fan, became a chef. He's been feeding the Cougars for years on and off campus. He's the pride of Killeen, Texas, and founder of Fat Daddy's Pizza on Center Street in Provo. Our pleasure to welcome Chad Pritchard to the Wise Guys. It's great to have you here.
Hey, thanks. I'm glad to be here. I like your shirt, BYU Texas.
Yeah, well, we're showing some support for Texas tonight.
When they played down in Texas, some folks sent those to us, and so we support them, definitely.
You know, that's sorry. I didn't realize I was going to.
Texas is just near and dear to your heart, isn't it?
I grew up there.
And Kerrville's just underwater.
I went to scout camp in Kerrville.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends in that area. My sister still lives down there. She lives on the Lampasas River. You remember, right through Central Texas, and it's flooded up to the top of the bank. And you know, she's pretty worried about that because if it goes over, it'll go into her house. And so, you know, our hearts go out to Central Texas. You serve there. I know it's near and dear to you as well. Those people down there. You know, that's one of the things we're doing is we're donating a portion of our proceeds at Fat Daddy's Pizzeria for every Texan that we sell, which is one of our barbecue pizzas. Yeah. We're donating that to the Red Cross and to be earmarked for use in Texas and those things there. I just, you know, my heart goes out to those people. They're great people down there, and I love them to death.
Yeah, they're the best. And
I still have my Texas driver's license in my pocket. I can't use it anymore.
Well, one thing I learned as a newbie, you know, as a new missionary down there, is when it rains differently.
Yeah.
It rains differently than what we see in Utah. Of course, folks in the South, you know exactly what we're talking about when the monsoon season and all that, whatever comes in, it just rains and there's nowhere for the water to go.
Well, people don't understand, too, like the rain in Texas, it's such a, I mean, people are saying, oh, this is a 100-year flood. I mean, this has happened 4 times since I lived in Texas, you know, 40 years ago. I remember the dam. You remember Belton Lake. I remember the dam the water going over the dam at Belton Lake, which is a huge dam, just going over the spillway. And that's happened 3 times. And so a lot of people say, well, like, this isn't something that Texans know about, and we do. It rains, and what happens is we have soaking rains, and so it'll rain very lightly, but it'll rain for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks at a time until the ground is saturated. You know, and 8 feet down in Texas, and you got your topsoil, and then you get to that level of caliche clay, and there's no place for that water to go, and so it just fills up and just goes everywhere. So, thanks for representing Texas today, and come down to Fat Daddy's and buy a Texan, and a portion of those go to the Red Cross for that.
Let's talk about your pizza for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you feed the team, which group are you most worried about feeding? Is it
linemen?
Is it the offensive lineman or the defensive lineman?
It's the offensive lineman.
Really, they outperform the defensive lineman?
Well, you know, those guys are a little bigger. Defensive linemen are, you know, they got to be faster and they got to be, you know, but those offensive linemen, we used to say we're the official pizzeria of BYU linemen, and we used to have them come in all the time. When NIL started, we used to feed all those guys for free. They'd come in and they would post off on us about it. But I got a pepperoni here. This was one of our number one selling pizza, obviously. And
what's the most pizza you've seen a BYU lineman put down?
I saw, what was his name?
Could he eat a whole
brother? They had a 24 that they ate.
Oh, my goodness.
The 2 brothers that were here a few years ago, he transferred to Baylor.
2 offensive linemen. Who are they?
I'm losing my mind.
One was the center.
Dad played in the NFL for the 49ers, so I was real happy about that.
I'm losing my mind.
Okay, that's going to come to us.
Yeah, it'll come to us in a minute.
Anyway, they came in. You know, he and his wife.
One was the center before Connor Pay, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I'm losing my mind.
And then his younger brother and his younger brother split.
Yeah, his little brother was there.
And then they both went over.
Yep. And so
we'll play for Jeff Grimes when he was there.
So the stream's going to help us here in a minute.
They brought in all the linemen, and they every one of them made a 24-inch Fat Daddy size pizza.
Goodness.
Huge. They just put it down.
How fun was that when you were the official pizza of BYU's offensive linemen, to be associated with those young people and to be able to see them come in and
you know, we loved the players. Players were always great and affable. They were really great, and it was a lot of fun because I have kids, a small son, who, you know, they would bring us down on the field because we would feed them after games. and we'd have to get the pizzas up to the locker room and the whole thing. And so then we'd go down, and they'd always give my son gloves or give him a high five, and they all knew who he was, and so that was a big deal for him. Here's a 9-year-old kid going out there on the field with the players, and so it was a really cool experience for them.
The Barringtons.
That's what it is.
Right.
Sorry guys, if
Thank you to Jim and Michael.
Jim Williamson comes for us and says it's the Barringtons.
It was the Barringtons.
We can always count on the stream. Whenever Dave and I lose our minds, the stream comes through for us.
Oh, good.
They help us come back.
The stream comes through for us.
Well, Chad, you learned a long time ago that good food and good company make for some of the greatest moments in our lives. And as a chef, you get to play a part in that, and you see people coming together, and food's a big part of it. But how satisfying
Am I supposed to eat
is
this while you're answering this question?
Of course you are.
This is your profession. What's that meant to you?
If I go like this, then do you know where I grew up? New York.
I was going to say that's got to be East Coast right there. Yeah, that's a true New York fold. A lot of guys, will fold it in half like this, but you can always tell a New Yorker when they come in because they flip it up and eat it on the go.
That is real. By the way, that's really good.
Thanks. Dave, I missed your question. I'm sorry. He was talking about pizza over here.
Yeah, we love pizza and we eat it all the time. But pizza, food, and people go together all the time. They create the great moments.
Yeah.
So you pick the business that creates great moments, and you've watched it your whole life. How powerful is that?
Food is obviously one of the most personal things you can do when you cook for somebody. And I've made my career of doing that. My father, as you remember, owned restaurants growing up. He had ice cream shops and he had bakeries. And so I learned from a very young age that food is important, not just to nourish ourselves, but to nourish our souls. And so that was one of the things that I just absolutely love. And during COVID, we had closed our Italian restaurant, Oregano Italian Kitchen, just before to kind of remodel and open a new restaurant. Of course, that, COVID happened, and so that never happened. And we had our pizzeria. I had bought a little tiny pizzeria on a whim. Guy basically gave it to me so he could get out from underneath it. And when we moved our pizzeria, our lease was up. And if you go to Fat Daddy's Pizzeria to the Facebook page, Janine, actually, my partner who runs the shop now, actually just did a video about kind of our history.
Yeah.
And we moved our pizzeria from this location down on Freedom to the location on Center Street where our Italian restaurant was.
Right.
And we'd already gotten rid of everything. There was nothing in there. And it was COVID. When was that, Janine? When did we open it down there? In
2020,
May. It was May.
Of 2020.
And I remember they had just come out and said you can't have anybody in your restaurant. And so I have this 3,600 square foot restaurant with nobody in it.
Yeah.
The kitchen's way in the back, so the people would have to walk all the way through. So when I opened it, it was at a time, everybody was kind of starting to peek their heads out, come around with their families. And I said, we've got to open this restaurant. We've got to change the way we've done restaurants. We've got to focus on families. Up to that point, you always focus on the adults, and because they got the money.
Yeah.
And you always want those deuces and those quads to come in and sit at your tables and spend a lot of money. But nobody was doing that. And so I said, if we're going to open a pizzeria, and I was talking to Janine about this and my wife, Kimber, I said, if we're going to do this, we've got to do it so that it will attract those families. We really want families. And so we made it the pizzeria from when I was growing up and when everybody else was growing up. It's full service. We even got the Coke cups with our logo on them. And, we went out to do a whole lot of things, put posters on the walls that were our favorite stuff from the 80s and 90s, put great music in. But I can tell you how you asked a question, what does food do for people? And I can tell you, we opened, we didn't have any tables, we didn't have any chairs. And I put a little post out on Facebook. I said, hey, we're looking for tables and chairs. And the community just brought us tables. We just had these little plastic, lifetime tables that we had set up in the dining room because we had no tables, we had no chairs, we had no anything. And I had a long bench that I had built, and that was it. And so food does something for people that philosophically it's so great. I can't even describe just the feeling you get when you're able to feed and nurture people, when you see people come in and they say thank you. This is especially during that time.
Yeah.
That time was very hard. It was hard for me personally, and it was hard for, business and everybody else. And so it was a great thing to do. I stepped away from the business in 23. During that time, it was not just a business that was hard. I was away from home all the time. I never saw my kids. I never saw my wife. I bought that house up in Vivian Park we've talked about, and then I had a fire and my house burned down. And my daughter got sick. She ended up in the hospital. And so we took a break, and, I passed on the operations to my partner, Janine, and she's been going gangbusters with it. It's been going great. And so I like to come in and get pizza every once in a while. But I think if it wasn't for the community that we have with, BYU as being a huge part of that, just the support that we had from them, you wouldn't see us down there on Center Street anymore. I just don't know that we would have made it through COVID.
It's been a crazy ride with COVID. A lot of people were affected, but you guys were especially affected, and you had things outside of COVID that kind of beat you down. What did you learn about yourself and about you and family during this last 5 years?
I learned that nothing can replace your family. Nothing can replace your the time you spend with your family. I don't remember his name, but he once said, "Your child doesn't want your dime; he wants your time," and that really has really stuck with me. And in a lot of ways, I was a big dude. I named my pizzeria Fat Daddy's Pizzeria. I weighed 420 pounds.
Are you going to change the name to
I don't
Skinny
think so.
Daddy's
I don't think
Pizzeria?
so. We always kidded around calling it Fat Daddy Slims or something, but I've lost 200 pounds. Wow. And that's really one of the things that I love to talk about is why here I make pizzas for a living, right? And people think about pizza junk food. It's not good for you. I don't either. But
I think this is fantastic.
The way we do, we make everything. We make all our pizza dough. We make everything from scratch, and I think that's big important. And one of the things that we've done is in my life personally is my wife and I have really started to cut out. I should probably get over here closer to the mic.
You're good.
Mm-hmm.
We've really started just cooking everything from scratch at home. We cut out processed foods. We cut out seed oils. We did all those things that, in the old days, I'd say like, oh, that's just nonsense. Of course, here I was sitting at, over 4 centuries of weight. And so, I really changed the way I cook, really changed the way I eat at home, really changed the way that I interact with food. And I think it's something that we really need to, as a society, we really need to try and really embrace is that we have these relationships with food in the United States that we just sometimes are not great, they're not healthy for us. And so that's something that my wife and I have really started focusing on. We have a new business where Kimber and I make pastas and we make sauces and Italian sauces and dressings, things, but we make it all from scratch. And while I say I'm not a health food, I don't sell health food, I sell food that's healthier for you than what you can buy in the grocery store. And we do cooking classes and things like that for people who want to learn how to actually cook from home, cook from scratch. You go online, you see all these recipes and all these things, and they're all like, oh, go open a can of this and open a can of this and throw it in the crock pot, and 6 hours later you have a steaming pile of mush. and it's just not great. And so that's one of the things that we've done. We started a company we call Mountain Standard Thyme, where we sell macaroni being pasta that's made without egg. Everybody just thinks it's the little elbow noodles, but it's any pasta made without egg. Yeah. The average pasta, commercially made pasta, sits on the shelves for about 6 months before it even goes out to distributors. Oh, wow. And then it goes up to the grocery stores. Our pasta, we make it, you order it, we make it, we send it out to you. It can be dried, so you can keep it for a long time. It's great for dry storage or for food storage because of the way we do it, manufacture it. And we just do it at home, a little pasta machine that we bought for our Italian restaurants, and we make our sauces at home, and in our kitchen that we have set up for that at our house.
Chef Chad Pritchard, founder of Fat Daddy's Pizzas on the Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus, supplies plus support. Learn more at bradyplus.com. By Eddie, HR and payroll software built for small businesses. See how Eddie can serve your team at eddie.com. And by Mountain America Credit Union, empowering dreams for over 80 years. Learn more at macu.com. Wise Guys, distributed by the Deseret News. You've served up pizza at your place, 223 West Center Street in Provo. You can't miss it. It's right down there in the heart of things. If you had to pick a favorite pizza among BYU students, what is it?
Oh my! It's got to my worst pizza. Yeah, that I don't like to make. Or like to eat is the Hawaiian, and man, BYU
Is that the favorite?
They
BYU students,
love
the
it.
Hawaiian,
Anything with pineapple.
Yeah, you bet.
If I have one gripe about the Cougar Nation is that they love Hawaiian pizzas, and man, I hate making them. They get my hands all sticky. They weep.
Hawaiian
all over the
pizzas on
pizza.
the
So
outs.
we were going to ask you what the worst ingredient you've ever put on a pizza
Pineapple.
was. Is it pineapple? Is that the worst?
Oh man, the worst I've ever put on a pizza.
Because I think anchovies on a pizza should be outlawed.
Yeah,
but
that's because you're from Utah.
yeah. No, I'm
Are you from New York? You should be ashamed of yourself.
They like anchovies back
They
there.
do.
I can't stand them.
I think the worst one I've ever put on a pizza. I don't know, Janine. What do you think? Nothing. You don't got it. It's got to be. I put a lot of fruit on pizzas, and fruit doesn't go well on
seem
pizza.
right. It doesn't seem right.
Doesn't seem right.
And it's not that I have like a favorite. It's not that I don't like the ingredients, or hey, this is the worst thing I put on a pizza. But to me, what the worst thing you put on a pizza is too much. Too much. Pizza's about the dough, the sauce, and the cheese. And people here love just dumping toppings on toppings on toppings, and you just lose.
Less is more.
Yeah, you lose the pizza flavor. It no longer tastes like a pizza. It just tastes like a mishmash of ingredients.
I'm writing that down. That's an important pizza fact.
Three ingredients, maybe 4 or less.
And that's it.
That's it for me.
That explains the pepperoni,
margarita. Yeah, I'm not a huge pizza guy with a ton of toppings on top.
So we're gonna make you think here. What are the similarities between being a chef in a restaurant and being Kalani Sitake on the sideline of a football game?
It's a lot of management. So, people will say to me, I want to be a chef. I want to go to culinary school. And you get this idea that being a chef is just all about the cooking. And it's just, it must be so fun. I love to cook. But it's a grind. And I think every day it's the grind. Every day you got to get up. You got to go in. You got to make your food. You got to make your pasta. You got to make pizza. You got to make sauce. And it gets monotonous. And it really does. And you have to just love what you're doing as a chef and as a restaurateur. And you really have to love you really have to love your guests. And I think that, as a coach, you have to love your team, but you have to love your fans. You have to do things, you do it for the fans. I mean, there's, it's a game at the end of the day, right? And with pizza, it's food at the end of the day. They could go to any pizza joint, but you really have to love your guests, and you really have to love what you do. And I think that comes out in the food when you and the service. And I just love service and hospitality. And I love pizza. I love pasta, Italian food.
It's very similar to what Kalani does.
That is, yeah, and you're right. He does. And Kalani is a coach I think loves the fans more than any other coach I've ever known.
And I'm pretty sure he likes Hawaiian pizza.
Oh, I'm sure he likes Hawaiian pizza.
I can't
too.
remember what he eats. He used to come in all the time. I don't know if he still does because I'm not there every day. But he used to come in and he and his family put some pizzas down.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And I don't remember what he eats. But I will tell you, Steve Young comes in and he likes gluten-free. Everything's got to be gluten-free for Steve. And he typically will have a margarita pizza.
Yeah.
I mean, he loves that gluten-free.
Gluten-free for Steve Young.
Barb's got him on the gluten-free.
Barb does, yes.
Yeah. Chad Pritchard, founder of Fat Daddy's Pizza on the Wise Guys, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com. Another football question, a lifelong Texan, so you're all about football.
I am.
Lifelong BYU fan. Kimber, your wife's a BYU grad.
She is.
So what are your
Food science
expectations?
program, actually.
Science program?
Food science. So she's a food scientist and I'm a chef, so.
How is it that one of us, Blaine, how long have you and I have been doing games together?
33 years?
33 years. And for the last 20 minutes, I've watched you eat a piece of pizza in front of a pizza while I'm just right over here in arm's length with no pizza.
You can have the whole pizza.
It's like
You get the not that I've eaten a whole pizza while we've been doing this. It was so good.
I was just like, hey, wingman.
Like, it was really good.
Where's my wingman?
It was really good.
Now I got it all over here. So what do you think of the football team? What's your expectations for this year?
How many games are we playing this year? We're playing
Well, we're playing 12
games.
and then a bowl game.
I'm going to go 10-2.
10-2?
10-2.
Yeah, I like that
I
one.
don't know which two there are, but, you got to be realistic.
But one of the two can't be Utah, right?
Well, I hope not, because my son-in-law is a Utah grad.
Oh, yeah,
and so
there's always one.
I know. You can't help him. I mean, what are you going to do? I'm just glad you have all these. Oh, you do have a Utah
Yeah,
fans.
we got one hidden back there.
Yeah.
Behind
So-
in the corner.
That's too bad.
So here's what we're gonna do, because I'm
So
gonna do
10 and 2, that's good.
I'm gonna do 5 questions with Chad. This is your chance to taste that pizza, and then
You're
we're gonna.
you're gonna.
I'm gonna take.
gonna
I'm
take one for
I'm
the
gonna take
team?
the 5 questions because I feel bad because I ate a whole piece
Now
of pizza.
I've been into Fat Daddy's Pizza.
You've been several times. Several times.
So we're going to do 5 questions with you, which we do with all of our guests.
Yeah, sure.
The first time they're on 5 questions is presented by Strategy Square. Does your business need help with social media? Contact Chantel, another BYU grad at strategysquare.co. Chantel helps us with all of the things that we're doing and kind of runs all of our social media for us. Does a fantastic job.
Yeah.
BYU people doing great things, and she's one of them. So we're going to start, and I'll keep track of this. And just like we did with Parker, just whatever comes to your head is what you have to say here. Your favorite sports movie?
Oh, it's got to be Sandlot.
Sandlot.
Yeah.
Parker said Sandlot, or
did he?
Yeah, he said Sandlot.
I like Sandlot, and I like The Longest Yard, the original one.
Oh yeah.
I do like
the Burt Reynolds one.
I like the remake because I love Adam Sandler. I grew up in the the 90s, so I love Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
But the original one, and I think what I love about Sandlot is just that 4th of July scene.
So fun
It's
with the lights going off.
Yeah,
and they're
lights
out
going
playing.
off.
That's the lights for the game.
And you just see these kids just in awe and wonder. And
Yeah.
It's a little bit. It's a bit of Americana. It's a bit
It
of
is.
Utah.
It's
in
not a bit of Utah. It's a lot of Utah.
So
Yeah.
Parker said Sandlot and Moneyball were his two.
Moneyball was all right.
2 baseball movies. So for a football guy, right?
Yeah.
So so Sandlot, 2 Sandlots today.
And dark horse here. I love The Natural. I've forgotten
Natural.
about The
Oh
Natural.
yeah,
That's a
Robert
good one.
Redford. That's a good
that
old
was a
one.
great
So-
one when he hits the ball into the lights and it just comes out and he's got the music going.
Yeah.
I got chills thinking about it.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's a
movie.
great scene. So okay, number 2, your favorite singer or band?
Ooh. I like it's gonna have to be Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam. So you're going old Seattle grunge rock,
yeah,
right?
that was coming
Pearl
up when I was in
Jam.
high school. And
Yeah, that was.
I
Hey,
saw them when I snuck out. Don't tell Mom. I snuck out when I was 15. My buddy Kyle Curtis, and he
First
could
of all,
drive.
Kyle was always trouble.
Yes, you
I
remember.
think we
Yeah.
all know that.
And we went down to the Frank Irwin Center on the University of Texas campus, and we saw Pearl Jam. And he told his mom he was staying the night at my house, and I told my mom he was staying the night at their house, and they never
Just
checked because
Tell
my
me it
mom's
wasn't on a
best friends.
Sunday. It wasn't on a Sunday.
I can't remember, but I wouldn't doubt it.
well, Pearl Jam's a classic.
Okay.
Parker's was Post Malone,
Yeah,
which has now gone country, and I love his country stuff.
Yeah.
I
That's
do
good.
like Post Malone. I don't like his taste in football teams. He's a Cowboys fan,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, we have a Texan here that's not a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, that's who's your team?
I'm a San Francisco 49ers fan. My dad grew up in the Bay Area.
Oh.
He raised me right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Wow,
I think
and those
Joe-
are rivals back in the day.
Yeah,
So.
and no offense to Steve, I love Steve more than anything. Steve's a good friend of mine.
But you're
but
about to say something about Joe Montana.
Joe Montana.
Yeah, I get
feel
it.
it coming.
Hey, we get it. So, okay, now I'm really interested in this one because you're a chef.
Sure.
Your favorite breakfast cereal?
Favorite breakfast cereal? Man, that's a good one. So many good ones. I'm gonna go with. There was an old one called Honey Bunches of Oats that was
Oh, yeah.
years ago. I don't even probably make it anymore.
No, they still do, and
Do they?
we've had several people come on and say Honey Bunches of Oats.
Yeah, that was a good one. My mom didn't like us having sugar cereal, and I
Because
found
you're
out.
all hopped up.
Well,
on
not
sugar.
yeah, there was 8 of us, right?
Yeah,
and
there
so
was 8.
the sugar cereals were expensive, and so I got to eat that one, and so I really love that one.
Okay.
a
They
lot.
were even expensive at the
That's a good one.
commissary on the Fort Hood base.
Bro, I don't know. I was
Was Danny Ainge the one, Dave, that came on and told us? I think Danny Ainge was the one who came in and said shredded wheat.
oh my
We go,
God.
wait, like just like the bales of hay shredded wheat, not frosted
like the
shredded
big
wheat.
old,
Just goes
Just a bale of hay shredded
out
wheat.
in the
that you're
field,
gonna-
gets
big
his
old
breakfast.
biscuits.
They just
used to
rolled
call them
oats, just-
biscuits. Yep.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah. And we go, that's your favorite. He goes, well, so what we've determined is that's all Michelle will let him eat since he had his heart troubles.
Yeah, I
And now
can't-
he's healthy as can be, right?
I
So-
can't say too much about shredded wheat because my wife Kimber loves mini wheats, and to
But
me,
those are
it tastes like
frosted.
eating. I don't care. It tastes like eating wet grass
It's wet grass with
Really does.
sugar on
with
it.
sugar on it. Oh,
It really does.
no thanks. I'd rather die.
So I think Honey Bunches of Oats is a fine choice. What's your favorite cuisine to cook?
Professionally or personally?
Personally.
Personally, I love Southern food. I grew up in the South, and I love Tex-Mex food. So I would my kids would probably say Tex-Mex because I do a lot of Tex-Mex food, and I can't really do a whole lot of Southern food anymore. It's not good for you. So I just don't
when
do
you've
a lot.
lost 200 pounds, Southern food's kind of out the door, isn't it?
Tex-Mex.
Every once in a while, fried chicken is still by far my favorite meal of all time. But it's got to be on the bone. None of this chicken tenders crap.
Yeah,
give me a real chicken on the bone.
Okay.
Is the statement that people make that the best barbecue in Texas is always attached to a gas station, is that true?
I can't say always true, but I can tell you I've eaten and I've thrown down some great barbecue coming out of out of gas stations. The problem is people say, well, the best barbecue comes out of a gas station, and the best gas station is Buc-ee's. And I'm going to tell you for a fact, Buc-ee's does not have the best barbecue in Texas.
It looks pretty good.
But,
I got some Dr. Pepper ice cream the last time I was at Buc-ee's because I thought that was cool. But I did look at the sandwiches, the roast beef or the brisket and all that stuff right in the middle of the store, and I thought, man, that stuff.
We do Dr. Pepper milkshakes down at, or we used to. Do we still do milkshakes like that?
Dr. Pepper milkshakes.
I think so.
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper milkshakes.
But all my Texas friends, when we're down there, like, do you want to get some barbecue? And I go, yeah. And then they take me, and I go, are we going to a restaurant? They go, this is a restaurant. I'm like, it's a gas station.
I stopped.
Best barbecue's always in a gas station.
You gotta, and the best barbecue in Texas comes out of the Hill Country. And again, my heart goes out to those guys. And Llano has some of the best barbecue in the country, and Fredericksburg has some great one. But there was one down there that I ate at that I'll never forget. It was pretty amazing barbecue. It's probably one of the easily the top 5 barbecue places I've ever had at. And it was called, I have to look up the town. I think it was in Hearn, Texas. Yeah, I think it was Hearn, and it was called No Teeth. No teeth. No teeth. Teef. No teeth barbecue.
Meaning it's so tender you don't even need teeth to eat it. No teeth barbecue.
I'd try that. That sounds great.
I would try it.
And it was just it was a hole in the wall on the side of it. I mean, it was like a shack on the side of the road. But that's, people say like gas stations, but really your best barbecue is coming when you're going down the country road.
Out in the Hill Country.
Yeah. And there's just a stand, and you just go out and get the barbecue.
I love it. So, okay, this is the most important question of all. It's question 5. The best advice you've ever gotten from your wife, Kimber.
Oh man, now you're gonna make me think.
We're not making you do anything here on Wise Guys.
Best advice I ever got from Kimber was know when to stop. It was a, it's been a hard. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's been a hard 5 years, right? And we were going through the things that we went through with business and with our house and my daughter, and I just kept throwing myself into work. And one of the things she told me was, Chad, you just got to know when to stop. You just got to know when to stop.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't, because as men, we like to think we gotta
keep going.
We gotta keep going. We gotta help her, and sometimes what we need to be told is you just need to stop. You need to take a breath. You need to be with your kids. You need to be with your family. You find out what's important to you. So that was a big one for us, is knowing when to stop.
One thing I learned about Chad, and I've known him for a long time, but when COVID broke out and our lives changed, even as you're fighting to keep your businesses alive, you fed kids for free.
I did. We did.
And we did a couple stories on it. I remember at Channel 5, and the outpouring of people to support you to do that was awesome, because it was the community helping itself.
And it was the kids that were normally going to get school lunch and those kinds of things that weren't at school, right? Is that?
Well, that was the idea.
Yeah, because they weren't at school. School was out.
School's out.
So there's no place for them to get subsidized.
They didn't know they were going to feed them, and they said, "Oh, well, the schools can give you food," but these kids had to get to the school, and honestly, I mean, who wants to eat sack lunches every day? And that's what they were feeding them. And so, before they announced that they were going to feed these kids, Janine and I were talking, and I said, we should feed kids. And so we fed over 5,000 kids in 6 weeks. We had a lot of volunteers come in. What most people don't know about the time is we were really struggling. Like, it was a struggle for us to stay open, and we had bought this pizzeria, and that's all we had left. And of course, we bought it with the equipment that was in it, and the equipment broke down about 3, maybe 4 days into doing this. My oven broke down, and what I didn't know was going to happen is that people were coming in and donating so that we didn't have to pay for all the food. At the end of it, we never paid 1 cent out of pocket for any of that food. People donated it, and we weren't asking for donations. We finally did, because it started getting so big after the news stories, because you ran a story, and then the ABC channel ran a story, and the Fox station ran a story, and then I got an interview from like the Mumbai Times, after that. Like, I had interviews from all over the world about this thing. And then we started getting these donations in, and that we put them in a different account. We didn't want to commingle, these are, we just wanted to use those funds for it. And, we were actually able, because our oven broke, we were actually able to use those funds to get a new oven, which helped us put out a lot more food for those kids. And it's something that Janine still does every summer. Is it every summer you're doing that, Janine? Every summer, feed kids for free. It's something we've done. Food, like, we're not millionaires. I can't donate a lot of money to people or do things, but we can feed people. Yeah. And I think feeding somebody is one of the most intimate and loving things you can do for your fellow man. It's giving them something to eat. And Christ sat and fed people who were considered lower and less. And I think if Christ can do that, not that kids are lower and less than me, but I think it's our responsibility to do that as well. And it's something that I'm proud that Fat Daddy's and that Janine continues to feed those kids every summer.
Yeah, it was tremendous to see, and we commended you then. We commend you now. That it takes some good people to do it, and you guys did that, and a lot of people were blessed for it, and now they can go to 223 West Center Street in Provo. Fat Daddy's Pizza. They can also reach you at Bald Chef on X. Where else can folks get information about you?
Facebook. So Fat Daddy's Pizzeria on Facebook. Chad Pritchard on Facebook. You could reach out to us at Mountain Standard Thyme. Thyme being spelled THYME. That's the brand that we used for our pastas and our pizzas. And that's, we have an online subscription site starting. So if you want to come in and order, any of our products from us, you'll be able to do that very soon. I'll be bringing. I was going to bring pasta in with you today, and my parents were up this weekend. They didn't get down to see you, but I gave all my pasta to my mom and dad.
Hey, that's all good. We'll take the pizza. They take the.
That's right.
And the pizza was great.
And the information is in the stream. DJ's got a question before we get you out of here. Why aren't there pizza places open after 10 p.m. around here?
Because nobody eats there. We tried. We used to have our place open till 1 in the morning. Till 11, everyone's like, oh, I wish there was a place to eat, but nobody goes out.
What is wrong with BYU students?
Provo,
they're doing homework and they're going to bed.
I think that all the time. Like, we're driving through town, and I'm like, this place, they just rolled up the sidewalks at 10 o'clock. What happened here?
I've worked in Austin, Texas. I've worked in Dallas, Texas. I've worked all over the country, and I can tell you, like, every other place does it, but everyone's like, oh, you should stay open late. And we tried. We wanted to be open late, and there's just...
So you know what happens?
There's no business.
The McDonald's drive-through line is all the way around the building at midnight.
Well,
because it's the only place that's open.
People need to stay up and eat more pizza later.
They need to come to downtown, and I think it's not just a pizzeria, but downtown Provo is the place.
It's really neat
to go.
It's really
cool.
And
they just come to downtown. Downtown's a special place. There's 80 different independent restaurants in downtown. When I got into downtown, it was a dump. The Tabernacle was burned out. There were homeless people everywhere. And the windows were blacked out. And I can tell you, John Curtis really had a vision. And
it's a new vibe.
It's got a great vibe. We were just down there over the 4th. All the celebrations going on down there, and the downtown has charm. It's got it's like a real downtown. It's fun.
Well, it's one of the oldest downtowns in Utah, and it's certainly, in my opinion, the best downtown in Utah. Salt Lake ruined theirs. Yeah. They just, bulldozed all the history and put up new buildings.
Right.
And I love downtown Provo. It's my second love.
Are you okay if we keep this pizza?
Oh.
Yeah, because we have big plans for this pizza after the show.
We have big plans because all we've eaten is cereal all day long. I was
going to tell you guys like the Frosted Flakes. I used to do, and I still do it from time to time, but I used to do chicken wings that I would roll And
Frosted
Frosted
Flakes.
Flakes?
We call them tiger wings.
Yeah,
Tiger wings.
That's something right
That
there.
sounds
Now
fantastic.
that's something. So
Chad Pritchard with us. Thank you so much for coming on.
thanks, Chad.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you.
Good to
Great
see you guys.
story. Keep going. And Fat Daddy's Pizza, we'll be down to eat some.
Please do.
And we're going to eat it here tonight.
Yes, we
Thanks
will.
so
And
much.
if you get a Texas pizza,
You get it the Texan.
Texan pizza,
Yeah, if you get the Texan, we donate a portion of those proceeds from the Texans to the American, I don't know, Red Cross.
Red Cross.
Yeah, the Red Cross.
to assist down there in Central Texas.
Yep. And then, we do a whole,
Okay.
a lot of that stuff.
Let's do that. Let's
Great.
go eat those pizzas and bring our families in, and then also get part of a good cause going as well. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Chad
Chad.
Pritchard.